open it up and it says, "My dearest Sheila," and it says, "Happy 37th birthday." Mind you, at that time I was 40 something. And it said, "If you have opened this Bible, you have finally figured out that you are not the one in control. So I want you to get down on your knees." And she said, "Put the Bible to your left." And she was like, "Get down on your knees and pray this with me in Jesus' name." And she had some F-bombs in there. And she was like, "Tell the devil to get the F out of your life." I mean, just bold. And it just all of a sudden, I couldn't believe what I was reading. And I mean, my tears are coming down my face because this was exactly what I needed. And she was right. I was such a control freak. And she was like, "You've got to stop living like this and realize you need blind faith."
Yeah. Hey guys, it's Nancy, and welcome to the She Laughs podcast. Sit down with me while I chat and get personal with some insanely cool women as they share their smarts and their hearts. God gave us each unique gifts, and we got to use them. Inside each one of us is a cool girl. So buckle up. Let's get vulnerable. Let's get real, and let's laugh. Hey guys, welcome back to the She Laughs podcast. And today I have a super big treat for you. Sheila Page is in the house and I'm so excited. I'm so happy to welcome her to the show. She's obviously a very dear friend. We've known each other since our college days and I just love Sheila. I call her she, and you can too, but fits in really well with the She Laughs podcast. To let you know a little bit about Sheila, she's an inspiring entrepreneur, leader, coach, whose journey is marked by both courage and resilience. She has a gift for everything, empowering women, building community, bringing faith into everyday life, and bringing light into every room. Through her work and her story, she knows what it looks like to overcome fear, step into your calling, embrace life with faith and confidence. Sheila, I'm so glad you're here today, and I can't wait to hear your story and your journey. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Those are such kind words. I appreciate it.
So excited. Well, all true. And, you're an overcomer, and that's part of why you're here today because you've overcome struggles and you're just so open to share them with people. And in your sharing, I know others are able to identify where they could overcome obstacles and begin healing. I'd love for you I know you're a successful entrepreneur now with some really cool products, guys, that I am so excited about for y'all to hear. In fact, little secret sidebar right before we hit go on today's recording, I was like, okay, Sheila, just send me the link. Whatever you tell me I need to get, I'm getting, because she's doing some really cool stuff with her Make Wellness.
Yeah.
So I want to get into that. But before we do, I think it's really important because people need to hear about your story. That's really why we're here at the She Laughs podcast, is to encourage other women and empower them to push through the obstacles and push through faith. Push through with faith, the fear.
Yeah.
And, Jesus told us that in this life you will have trouble, but he has overcome the world. And so often we forget that. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of go, oh, well, I give up. This is so hard,
right.
Stressful,
right.
Scared, whatever. And you've had your fair share of obstacles. So if you wouldn't mind kind of sharing your journey with us, I'd be so honored.
Thank you. We all have our journey. And, what we see on social media is everybody's best foot forward. We share all of the best parts of our lives, but everybody struggles behind the scenes. And I think it's very important that I'm always sharing the ugly parts of my life, because that is where people can relate, really, because nobody has this perfect life, and feel understanding when you are side by side and going through the hard parts together. And when I share, when I was a young mom and I went through a divorce, and it was horrible and scary and whatever, but you dig down deep, and I was honest with people. I was scared. But it challenged my faith. I didn't believe in divorce. There's just so many things. I took all my pride, packed my bags, moved back home with my parents. It was not what I wanted to do. Of course, then there were struggles with living back at home, and it really tested me for sure. But I mean, I share all that openly with people because that's where people relate. That's real life. And it's the real challenges when you work through them that make us who we are. Because it's not just getting somewhere; it's the walk to get there.
Amen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and there's a lot of ways to go.
A little bit about that, about yours, because you go through this divorce, single mom, move back home, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and my mom and I are butting heads again, of course. And, but of course, now I have a new appreciation for everything my mom was telling me. It wasn't like she didn't understand. She was wiser than I realized. But, getting those kids back in school, and now we've got a new home. And I mean, it was just overwhelming. I went back to work full time. And I mean, I'm grateful that I was able to move back in with my parents because that gave my kids a bunch of extra love and stuff like that. And my mom's very spiritual. But anyway, growing up, she was always telling me, and she's not wrong, that I'm such a control freak and how anxious I am and such a type A, and I need to slow down. I need to do this. And I was constantly telling her, you need to stay in your lane. You have no idea what I'm going through. And she was giving me great advice, but I never really took it. And it wasn't until she had passed and I was going through, and I had, gotten remarried to a wonderful man. I had a concrete construction business, and I had made my own decisions. I'd gone upside down on a couple of jobs. I was miserably crying, feeling sorry for myself in my bed, and just having a whiny moment and wishing that mom was there to make it better. And I could hear my mom saying, "Put your head in the Bible," and just being bossy about it. And I was like, ugh, I don't even know where to go. So I'm arguing with her. Put your head in the Bible. It doesn't matter where. I'm like, ugh. So I get up literally, and I'm looking at all these Bibles she's given to me over the years. And I pick one with large print because I've been crying and I can't see. Open it up, and it says, "My dearest Sheila, and it says, happy 37th birthday." Mind you, at that time I was 40 something. And it said, "If you have opened this Bible, you have finally figured out that you are not the one in control." And she said, "You're finally figured. So I want you to right now get down on your knees." And she said, "Put the Bible to your left and put me, and she was like, "Get down on your knees and pray this with me." And she was like, "In Jesus' name," and she was a little on, she had some F bombs in there. And she was like, "Tell the devil to get the F out of your life." And I mean, just bold. And it just all of a sudden, I mean, I couldn't believe what I was reading. And I mean, my tears are coming down my face because this was exactly what I needed. And she was right. I was such a control freak. And she was like, "You've got to stop living like this and realize you need blind faith, that you're putting everything, you're taking all the power away from what Jesus wants to give you." And I couldn't believe it. And it changed my life.
I have a question about this, because this is unbelievable. You're kind of having your pity party, and you're in your bed, and we all have done this. And
I was wallowing in it.
I mean, yeah, we're following. And you've lost your mom sometime back at this point.
Yeah.
And by the way, y'all, her mother is, I mean, she is the spitting image of Sheila,
Yeah.
her daughter. Her mom was Sheila too.
I know.
And just as cute as can be, we all loved her so much. And she was just an amazing woman.
She looked like Charlie's Angels. She was a young mom. She was looking
Yeah.
70s butterfly.
She was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so friendly, and had found Jesus and was obviously very strong in her faith. So what I'm hearing is you were having a pity party. You'd lost your mom already. And where were you in your faith journey at this moment?
I was doing the things that I knew I needed to do as a mom. I'm taking my kids to church. I chose a church at that time where they had an incredible children's department. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about me grabbing anything. I'm walking through the motions. And I knew I've remarried. I had an incredible man who is strong faith and everything, but still, I'm not doing the work on the inside. It was all on the outside, just kind of following through, saying our prayers and making sure my kids were in Christian school or whatever. But I wasn't doing it myself. And my mother had known this about me all of my life. And here I was at my weakest point when I was just truly broken. And I opened it up, and her words were like, "I hope you're listening to me now, because obviously you've hit the lowest point in your life. If you've opened a Bible," that's not the best thing she could have said.
But I loved, what a great, as parents now,
It's
what
so
a
hard.
great thing for us to think about, to put that in the Bible because you're sitting there in your bed and life's kind of crashing down around you. Yeah. And you feel this and hear this prompting from your mom saying, go get your Bible. And there's a bunch of them. And you just happen to grab the one where, unbeknownst to you, there is a letter in there from your mom. Like you had no idea that was in there, right?
And she was sick at that point. So you can kind of see it's not, but yes, her handwriting, also $500. So, and I opened up all my Bibles after that looking for money in another note. And there wasn't, I know that, Sarah, that sounds terrible. I have 8 other Bibles. Not one of them had anything more than a sweet dedication of the reason, whatever. But that one, the one I opened, long handwritten letter, exactly what I needed to hear, changed my life and had money in it. And my girls came by the room because they were kind of tippy-toeing. They saw me crying. It was a horrible low moment for me. And they saw me like, Mom, you okay? And I said, yes, come in. And we called her Momo. And I said, Momo wrote the sweetest thing, and I was trying to explain, and they were young. They didn't really get it. But my youngest goes, did she put money in there? And they're like, will you do that for me? And I was like, you know what? I will definitely write something. The words that I see, you need to hear from me.
I love that. Okay. So darling Sheila Senior left this encouraging, letter and this Bible.
It was a mirror up to my face of you're living it wrong. You need to take accountability. There's this whole other life waiting for you that you have shut the door on, and it's here for you, and you just have to trust me, and you need blind faith. And I mean, she said all the things. And I think that is when we find God, is when we are at our lowest moment, because we feel like there's no place else to turn. And that's not a bad thing, because this lowest horrible moment changed my life. So it's almost like you have to embrace the life is full of these hills and valleys. And the valleys is when we dig deep. And in my marriage, when we go through our hills and valleys, I mean, I'm not even afraid of the valleys, because we dig deep and we figure it out, and there's growth. And that's exactly what happened. And I changed everything about my life. It was, I'm still a work in progress, but I went to counseling. I knew I needed to learn how to let go, that I just couldn't take these words and somehow be different. I knew I needed to figure it out, that it was going to be a long path.
You mean surrender control? Is that what you're
I can't believe you just said that word, Nancy. That's the word that I could hear my mom saying, surrender. And I started going to yoga because I have such high anxiety, again, that type thing. And I would just cry after a class because I would hear this word surrender. And that's an unfamiliar word for a type A control freak. My mom would I could hear her say, just surrender and trust. And so I did. And I wouldn't say life got easier, because that doesn't make everything, all the bumps go away. But the blind faith of not worrying about the valleys has changed everything. That it's just a part of it. It's still just a learning process. And I think
chances don't change, right? Sometimes, but how you view them changes.
Yeah. I had faith then that when one door would close, that truly another one would open, even though I didn't understand it. And I wasn't trying to figure it out on my own. I was trying to allow it to be unveiled to me, and not my time and God's time. And that's a whole different, that's a hard thing for a control freak to do. So I'm a reformed control freak.
Well, I just love this because it's, I love how God was showing you that he's there for you and that he's got you, that he had prompted your mom years prior to put that there for you. He knew you were going to be having that hard time. He knew you were going to need that, not just in that moment, but my guess is you even look back on that. One of my favorite characters in the Bible is David. And he always would look back as he was going through hard times. He would say, oh my gosh, Lord, this is so hard, so hard. But then he would remember, past times God was there for him and showed up to give him strength. And my guess is you still look back on that moment when you're struggling, because we all struggle, right?
But I share it with my kids, because when they are going through that, I'm like, honey, this is not the end. This is a moment. And there's something so incredible, but you have to be open to embrace whatever that is. Clearly, the train tracks that you were on has made a shift. and you have to trust that it's going in the right direction. And that whatever this bump is in the road, you just have to embrace the pain because it'll be worth it if you to find out what's at the other side, and whether it's breakups, for the kids or whatever, I can tell them with everything I am, to have blind faith. And they saw me change. They witnessed it. They're old enough to know how I was a pretty bossy, mean, type A mom. It was just like this. And I just learned to relax. They're always like, is she really just not going to, yell at us, because I just,
Really okay.
yeah, like, is she really different, and, it didn't happen overnight, but I just started to allow things to just happen and accept and not worry and be more grateful for my relationships, not be so driven by money, which I've always been, to really enjoy, be grateful for our children being healthy and wanting to spend time with us, and just that, my husband he's a chiropractor. He helps people, that I worked in his office, that I had the opportunity to do these things instead of, I don't know, I just had to. It was more about living in the blessing and being grateful than adding up a list of all the things I wasn't doing right and how we need to be
Right.
better, and just enjoying life because we're just not even here that long.
No, we're not. Just like you said, I think when we look at things, and we all get the poor me's, but when we look at things, and sometimes we have to force ourselves to look at gratefulness, right? And when we have that attitude of gratitude, it really, I think, just centers us and brings us back to
That it brings you back to that living that life of abundance instead of just going through the motions. And there's a lot to be said for waking up and doing some affirmations and reading some scripture, and starting your day off being blessed like that. And that's something that I do differently. And we keep a little devotional down in the kitchen so everybody can kind of flip and see what the day is. And it's neat to see my kids, if they're home, they're reading it, or my husband, because everybody also hears it differently. It's the same message, but it's exactly what you need to hear on that day, but you hear it differently. And I love that. Ironically, I just thought of this, but for my mom, one of her favorite verses was "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Yeah, and so that was something that I changed, is having this devotional, like stop, take 10 minutes, and read. Know that the world is bigger than you. That this, and it's not about a bad grade on something. It's about living your life in the right direction, not about the little stuff.
Okay, you said a couple things I want to touch on before we get to what you're doing now that I think is so super cool. But when you said, that you get up in the morning and you do your devotional, and I do, and that everybody hears it differently, the message, right?
Same
And
here.
I don't think that because, God has, for those of us that have children, we know that we can have, 6 kids, and all of them can have six different personalities. And you have to teach and lead and raise them all a little bit differently. Each one, you personalize it for them. And I feel that way with in corporate America, you have teams that you may be leading, and you have to learn how each person responds to management. And I think, God has, all of us are his children. Everybody is ever walked the face of the earth are his children. And so he's got a lot of kids. And in the Bible, I feel like you're 100% right. I'm aligned in that thinking that everybody is the same message, but we all take it and process it differently.
On any
Yeah.
different day.
Right.
It's when people say it was exactly what I needed to hear. Somehow it always is, because whatever we're missing in the words, there is something that we need. And if we're looking for it to fill, then you just suddenly live your life differently. It's more fulfilling. You're more grateful. You're less critical of others. You're that's huge of me. I'm just used to. I don't say used to be bossy. I'm still a little bossy. If you ask my husband, he would say I'm bossy, but more empathetic.
Oh, you said too, that you really hadn't been reading the Bible at that point. It can be really intimidating for those that they're like, okay, there's a lot of thous and thises and these, and I don't even know where to start. It's this big book that doesn't make sense. And
But I was definitely going through the motions, because I had been doing Bible study fellowship it's not like I didn't know these stories, but I was not learning from the stories. I was going through the motions of being where I thought I should be on a Wednesday morning and being in church and being in I was doing the right things, but I was not growing from the inside at all. I was not processing any of the information. I mean, I was probably looking at my watch, trying to get to my next step.
Well,
My
yeah.
head and my heart were not in the right place at all. So nothing
But
was.
what would advice be to people who may be in that same position? Just kind of going through the motions. I'm at BSF because everyone else here, this is what I got to do. This is the right thing. I'm a good mom. Check this box. What would you, advise people listening who are there doing that to step out of that to really engage in their faith, connect with God, and start to know Him? Because that's what He wants.
Right.
It's a relationship with each one of us,
Yeah.
right?
So when I went to the counseling, because I did not know how to let go of all this anger that I had and all these things I had no idea I was hanging on to, being such a control freak. And anyway, it started with different habits, and it did start with prayer in the morning. It started with a devotional. It's starting off with my brain being so grateful, so I looked at my children in the morning more lovingly instead of as this chore that I had to get them out to the school and whatever. Honestly, first thing that comes to my mind is those crashes, those end of the lines, those bad moments where we're wallowing in our bed. That's kind of a knock of, hey, I'm trying to be here for you. Would you please lean on me? And eventually, hopefully, we wake up and embrace it, because I didn't realize for so many years all that I was missing, because I thought I was doing it right, but I was just going through the motions. And then to have my kids be like, "Oh, mom, now you're into the Bible verse or whatever," and I'm like, "Why?" And I just tell them very honestly, because I said, "You know what? I've probably been raising you the same way. I mean, we need to kind of learn behind the scenes of what these words mean, and trying to talk to them and trying to get them to understand that people can change and you're never too old for change. We make mistakes. We still make mistakes." I think it's so huge for them to learn that mom and dad make mistakes, and it's better when they own it and change and don't have to be perfect, but kind of bring them into the walk of it.
I could not agree more. And I think that, like you said, we don't have to be perfect. And so many people think, okay, well, if I really start getting into this Bible and getting with Jesus, I'm going to have to do things. I don't give up things I don't want to have to give up, or God's not going to accept me because, man, I've messed up too much. When it's the opposite. He wants you there. These low points you go through, like you said, they bring you so much closer to Him. And I wouldn't trade one of them.
Right.
Even the hardest ones, because I would not know Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Falling flat on my face is what I've needed.
For sure. And we'll keep doing that,
Right. Continue.
Okay. Now I love all that, but let's shift gears, because I want our listeners to hear about what you're doing, because I am loving this.
Well, it actually came about. So, and I was, when my kids were going through college and everything, sold skincare, and I loved it. I had so much fun. I mean, I love the skincare line. And out of nowhere, about a year ago, we all got an email saying that the way they were going to pay us was completely different. And all of a sudden, the income that I had, which I worked so hard for, 70% of it was going to be gone. I was like, oh my God. And since my husband, I mean, we kind of have some shared money, but I'm very proud. I have my own 3 kids, and I work hard and I want to provide for them. And so I was kind of nervous. I'm like, oh my God, am I going to have enough to get Allison to finish out college, whatever. And because of course we grow accustomed to these budgets that we get on. And
Right.
I was freaking out. But at the same time, I had that trust in God feeling of, well, something better's coming along. I have no idea what, and I hope it comes along quickly. I don't know what I'm going to do in a couple of months. And it did happen. And it was something so much better than skincare. My husband's a chiropractor, so we're very much into healthy living and health and wellness. And he was about to have double knee replacement surgery. And we were kind of freaking out because he's 68. They're going to do one knee, then wait 3 months and do the other knee. And they had told him that he'd be out of work 4 to 6 weeks. Well, I was kind of worried we wouldn't have a practice. But again, we were like, well, trust, and so we're trying to find some products that would help him heal more quickly. And we were talking about therapeutic peptides, and basically those are injections, and there's BP 157. There's a whole lot of them, and they do work, and they can help you respond more quickly and heal faster and things like that. They all work at a cellular level. So I brought it to my husband, and he goes, yeah, well, I don't think you know me. I'm into holistics. I really don't want a drug. And I'm like, oh my God, details. We're going to lose your practice. Out of nowhere, again, a God thing. One of my friends called and said, hey, have you ever heard of these all natural peptides from Make Wellness? And I was like, no. And she goes, well, I just wanted to get your input. And I know Derek's really smart and understands science, and I don't understand this. Could you have him take a look at this? And so I think this could be an opportunity. It's like, yeah. So I took it to him, and we were blown away with how incredible this could be if these products work for changing people's lives, and they're all natural and another source of income. And it has truly been a blessing. Eric was not out of work 4 to 6 weeks. He went back to work in 9 days, so we didn't lose his practice. The second surgery, he was out only 6 days. And I mean, we couldn't believe it. But having this testimony allowed us to truly build a large business in his chiropractic office, which is where I am now.
Oh, he took the peptides.
Yes. And they worked. Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
and that's what you credit to, so quickly, right? That's
percent, because there was no explanation. He went back in 2 weeks after his surgery, and the surgeon and the NP and everything, they're like, what is going on? What are you doing? He's like, well, I mean, I took these peptides, but you're like, are they working? I think they're working. Could it be? No, you have range of motion that is 0.01% and the top percentage, and you're 68, so you shouldn't be doing this. And they told him, his physical therapist, he's a good friend of his, we do a lot of referrals, and she said, what are you doing? You should not be doing the stairs on day 3. I can't believe you're healing so quickly. And he's like, nothing hurts. And they told him he would be on a walker for 4 to 6 weeks. He used his walker 2 days, and really because he felt like he was supposed to, and then he kept kind of tripping over it, so he just put it to the side. He was supposed to do 1 year of physical therapy. He did 4 weeks. So he healed. What a blessing, not just for his health, but then we didn't lose his practice. So the products are working. He can't wait to get back in the office to share these with all of his patients because they're going to help them. But the coolest thing is there were peptides, because I have struggled since menopause, having no energy, my hair falling out, just almost depressed, and trying to keep the smile on and keep going, but just not feeling like myself. And the ones I was taking, I mean, now I have energy, my hair's growing. I mean, I was really worried about my memory. I went to the doctor. I thought I was having like pre-Alzheimer's or something. And they say, I'm sorry, it's normal with menopause for you to have very forgetful brain and be, kind of a airhead or whatever. And I was like, so I'm just supposed to accept this, and so now I'm taking all these peptides, and I've never felt better. And I can honestly say we've been taking them now for like 8 months, and it's been incredible. But now we're sharing them with patients and sharing them with friends, and they're sharing with friends, and so on and so on. And it has been an incredible gift for health-wise and financially. So it's been another blessing that we had no idea was right around the corner.
Okay, that's incredible. I love how God provided this. Tell us, for those listening, this has nothing to do with the Ozempic, Wegovy, whatever that.
Great question. Okay, so those are peptides, but those are injections. So there's therapeutic peptides, which are like the Ozempic and semaglutide and those kind. And I wouldn't say they're bad, because they do work. It's just that, like anything, it's a pharmaceutical, so it's a foreign substance to your body. So you're going to have side effects most of the time, and your body will get used to it. And then the products kind of stop working. So you have to cycle on and off of them, and they're really expensive. So, and I'm not against them. It's just the way we live. We prefer not to take drugs. We're trying to take more all natural approach. And these work at a cellular level, and they're all natural. They are good for you. They have like no dyes. There's like a whole list of things that they would never put in their products, and your body just drinks them up. And there's 6 peptides or 6 products right now, and we're actually coming out next month with a new one. It's so exciting. But the fit is for muscle health. And I'll tell you, I'm not working out anymore, but I mean, I'm toned. I mean, I can't believe people are like, what are you doing? I know. And so And so, but that's the one that Derek said it's for your bone density, recovering with muscle injuries. It's for making you stronger. It's for inflammation, which we all have so much inflammation in our bodies, and it has NAD precursors. It has all this good stuff, has lots of methylated B vitamins, and it just recharges your body.
Okay. Is there anything we're not supposed to do? I know I just interrupted.
That's okay.
Sorry. Podcast rule 101. Do not interrupt the guest. Sorry. I'm just excited. Okay. Is there anything you're not supposed to do or take while you are on this peptide diet that works?
Absolutely all natural. So even if you're trying to get pregnant, and regardless of your age, children can take these. It's absolutely, they're so good. Your body just responds. And these cool thing is, so the way they found these peptides, because they're all from plants and animals, and they have 10 years of clinical studies on this, but the lab that we work with, what we have an exclusive relationship with, is in Dublin, Ireland, and they are using AI technology, which I've always found scary, but AI technology to isolate and find the right peptide, and each peptide has a function in our body. And so like one is like, you need to be less stressed. And so, they're going through these. I always picture like a big IBM computer in the background, going through all the.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, so it would normally take 200 years, they're figuring out in 5 or 6 minutes. So they are answering truly root cause problems with these peptides. And it's one of the things about one of the peptides in it, it's called Peptistrong. And all the clinical studies show that it reduces your morbidity rate by 17%. So we're talking about like cardiovascular disease, even cancer. I mean, that's how good it is for you. And
Wow.
like at the age of 30, you start losing 1 to 3% of your muscle mass, and which is why they tell women our age you need to start lifting weights or whatever. Because your muscle health is the key to longevity. It's the true anti-aging component. Is if you take care of your muscles, then your body, you will be 100% healthier. It's proven in the statistics. So it's really exciting. The Fit is the one that Derek took that he knew helped so much. And then the next one that he took is called Hydrated. Again, we didn't realize you hear how dehydrated we are, but how incredibly important it is to stay properly hydrated for proper nutrition. But if you're not hydrating your cells, then the peptides can't work anyway. And these are clean. Like I mix them up in my
Mix them all
stick packs, and sometimes my favorite thing is I mix Hydrated and the Fit, and that is so delicious. And then in the morning I do also a Hydrated and the Energize. But yeah, it's just, they're so good. I just drink them all day long. And in my kids,
Are they individualized? Is there Okay, so tell us a little bit about that, how you determine which ones are right for you.
Okay.
And then I want to find out what the cost is for those listening, because I don't know if it's cost prohibitive for some. Okay, let's
real quickly, there's the Fit that's for muscle health, Hydrated, be properly hydrated, Energized, which is all natural. It's from fava beans, so it's a natural slow release component for energy, which also increases your dopamine and serotonin levels. So it gives you a mood enhancement, which is really nice for type A angry people like me.
ready. Okay.
And then there's Focused, which has helped me so much with my brain. It's more oxygen in your brain. It's for your eye health. It's for your memory. And it's changed. I no longer feel like I'm losing my mind. I don't have ADD brain anymore or brain fog. It's gone. And then my favorite one is Calm. It's non-drowsy, but you can just take it to kind of unwind. And it's ashwagandha and lemon balm and all this. But, we take it before beds, and just so it kind of shuts off all the tabs that are working in your brain so you can relax and sleep. And then the one that's coming out in a month or so is for sleep, which is huge because 2 out of 3 people struggle from not being able to sleep.
Oh, sure. Everybody always says that to me.
Yeah.
I cannot sleep through the night. I can't fall asleep. And okay, so that one will be coming out as well. And then is there a quiz somebody takes to determine which ones are right for them?
I have a quiz that I put together so that people can we can kind of filter through, but I usually like to have a conversation with somebody and just trying to make sure they're taking the right things. My husband and I take all 6. They work synergistically together. The more of them you take, it's almost like if you're working on your muscle health and you're working on your nervous system with the more that you of these peptides that you're taking, the better off your body runs. And it's like it sends messages and it works better. And but for me, I mean, I started off, what was most important to me is with menopause, I was felt like I was on the floor. I started with energized. And once I woke up, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like exercising, or and so you don't have to take them all. You can decide which ones are best for you. They're in collections. So there's a muscle and metabolic collection, which has I didn't even mention the lean, it's not weight loss, but it's fat loss. And so it purges your visceral fat. And I think that's one reason that gotten more toned, is it takes all that excess menopausal fat and it just sheds it. And it doesn't happen overnight, but I mean, it just sheds it. It's been
If it doesn't happen overnight, which nothing
Mhm.
does, sadly, how long would it take? 3 months, 6 months? What's a good
Yeah.
for somebody
So
thinking about this?
your cells turn over every 90 days. What's very important about the peptides is that you take them every single day because they work at a cellular level. So you'll notice changes, like you'll notice you have energy and you'll notice that you feel better, but you won't be getting deep down changes in your body for at least 90 days. And I guess it was probably about 4 or 5 months that I realized I no longer had any fat on my belly. Like I could tell it was going away, but then I was like, it's gone. Like I no longer have plantar fasciitis, which I'd struggled with for 15 years. I don't have irritable bowel syndrome, which and all of those things happened like month 5, 6, that kind of thing. But I wasn't trying to lose weight. So mine wasn't a weight loss journey, but I'm so much more fit. And that happened when I really noticed that was really at that 3 to 4 month mark that I was like, wow, I can tell that I'm getting more toned. I'm not exercising any differently than I was before. I don't have any more cravings because the lean, it balances your hunger hormones so that you're not craving anything and you start feeling good. Some things happen overnight, like energy or, relaxing, but the best things come after 3 months.
Okay. And so, y'all, if you're interested in this, reach out to me. There, you can reach out to Sheila. Mention the She Laughs podcast if you're reaching out to Sheila, so she knows that you're part of our She Laughs listening audience.
Yes.
But I'm so excited about it that I'm going to be doing this quiz after we wrap here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm super. One last question for you. And it's just for, we talked a lot at the beginning about that, you're an overcomer and how you've overcome and how your faith has been so strong and how just knowing Jesus has really changed you from the inside out to become more like him. And so if if there's anything you could tell your 25-year-old self, your 30-year-old self, for those who are listening who, maybe at any stage in life, but if you could tell yourself back then something, what would it be?
The first thing that comes to my mind is listen to my mother. But she's been telling me, but it's really to stop and smell the roses, that I was just going through such motions of doing all the things that I thought were expected of me, but it was all surface level. None of it was deep. And I mean, I had good relationships, but going to church was not the same as reading and understanding and having a devotional, for something deeper and choosing to be around the right people. My first husband, I didn't choose very wisely, and he wasn't a man of God. And so I don't know how far I thought that was going to work.
Smart,
Yeah.
being present and really getting to be able to be connected, right?
And you have to look for it. You have to be intentional. It's not just going to happen. You have to make time for God, make time for the word, and intentionally do it and make a habit out of it. And so your children see, and so you're being a good example as well.
Right. You're modeling the behavior you're
Right.
telling them about. We did a great podcast with Teresa Moore, which will be a good one to listen to for you listeners. That he is a psychotherapist and she's talked exactly about what you just mentioned, the importance of really slowing down, breathing, being connected, to be present in the moment, in the here and now. So very wise, Sheila. Well, I just love you to bits. I am just love seeing you thrive and love your faith. And thank you for being so real and so vulnerable to help other women. It's just amazing.
And I love the title of your podcast, because truly I do laugh through the hard times, because what else can you do? You got to find some humor and just keep going and trust that
You could be in a ball, but it's choosing, like you said, to really trust him and to
let it go.
shake off that.
Let it go.
Yeah, trust him. Okay. Well, thanks guys so much for tuning in. Sheila, big hugs for you. I just love you to bits, and I can't wait to dive into these peptides
Yes,
with you a
you'll
little
have
bit
to keep
deeper.
your audience posted on.
It's
Yeah.
just like so cool. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I mean, peptide's the new buzzword, but
It-
I think what's different about yours is that it's holistic and all natural, and that is really cool. And the AI lab in Ireland, all of that's different.
Exciting
Yeah.
science and
Yeah.
and it works.
It's so cool. All right. Thank you. Some big hugs. So much love for you.
Love you
Guys,
too.
yes, love you. Okay, guys, we will see you next time on the She Laughs podcast. Thanks for being here. See you later. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to She Laughs. If this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend who might need a little courage or a reminder that she's not alone? Every share helps more women find their inner cool girl and kick fear to the curb. You can find links to our guests, watch full episodes on YouTube, and connect with me on social at She Laughs Podcast Official, all in the show notes. And remember, the dream inside of you means something. Take the first step. Be brave. God's got your back. And girl, you've got this.